Hey guys, Mike here at Amish Tutorials, and welcome back to a new video. All right, well, this is part 3 of our robot guy. So in part 1, we modeled our robot. In part 2, we textured it. And in this video, we're going to rig it. Okay. Now I decided to use the untextured one for this video because it just it's easier to look at. And I received a question to do an IK rig on this robot. Now that doesn't really make sense, and I'll explain why. Okay, an IK rig or inverse kinematic rig is a rig system that calculates movement based on movement elsewhere. That's the best way I can explain it. So for example, if in an IK rig I were to move this hand up to the chest, then by moving the hand, the system would, excuse me, calculate the movement of the elbow and the shoulder. Okay, that's why it's inversed. All right. Now, this is kind of a 1950s style toy robot with a very limited movement, okay? Because it's a robot, it's not an organic shape. It has movement in the shoulder joints, and it has movement in the hips, and it has movement on the head, okay? No knee joints and no elbow joints. So in this case, it's easier to do a simple parenting rig system, okay? Now, in order to do that, there are a few things we need to do first, okay? Make sure that your model is sitting at the center of your grid. Just move it in there. And then as we select this guy, we're going to go up to Edit, Delete by Type, History, and we're going to go to Modify and Freeze Transformations, okay? Now, we're going to want to make sure that there's nothing grouped there. So we're going to go to Edit and Ungroup. And I have to select individual groups first. So I'm going to go to Window, Outliner. And let's see, that is some history that we can get rid of. That as well. This is a group here. So we're going to take this polycube group and we're going to middle mouse click and drag it outside of that group. Okay. So this group should now be empty, and it is. And we're going to get rid of that. And let's see what we got here. And not quite sure what that is. All right. So we're going to go back to Window Outliner. We're going to take that. We're going to delete it. So this is our main object. All right. And we're going to start to group certain sections here. So we're going to switch views. We're going to go in here and we're going to drag select this arm and just that arm. Okay. We're going to hit Control G to group that. We're going to go to Window, Outliner. And here's a group down here with a subgroup in there, and we'll double click on group 2 and we'll call that right arm. Okay, we're going to move to the side. We're going to take that arm, Control G to group, Window Outliner, double click there, left arm, and enter. Okay, let's minimize that. We're going to take the body section here, and we'll just deselect that. And I'll hit 4 for wireframe mode so I can kind of see it better. I really don't want that. That one's a bit hard to approach, so I'll do it from this view. All right. So I don't want the neck either. That's going to be separate. So I'm going to deselect that. So that's going to be the upper body. Okay. So I'm going to hit Control G to group that. Window Outliner. And we'll call this torso. We'll take the head. Control G to group that. Window Outliner. we'll call that head. And then we'll have a separate group for the neck. And although it's one object, we'll still do Control G just to be consistent. Windows Outliner, double click, and we'll call that neck. And then we have our legs. And we'll just do that from this view here. Okay, we'll drag select the right leg, Control G to group, window outliner, right leg, and we'll do the same at this end, Control G to group, window outliner, left leg. Okay, so now if we maximize this, let's clean this up a little bit. So we got right arm, left arm, torso, head, neck, right leg, and left leg. Okay, we need to rename the main group here, which is our robot. So here we go. So we now have a robot group, and I'll just show this in our screen. This is our main robot group. This is our right arm, left arm, our torso, our head, our neck, right leg, left leg. Okay. Now we're not quite there yet, because now we need to position the pivot points in the right position. Okay. And we're going to set the pivot points to the location where, it would actually pivot. Kind of makes sense, right? Okay. So let's start with the left leg. Okay. And we'll zoom in there. We're going to hit the insert key. That'll allow us to move our pivot point. And we're going to bring that pivot point up. And we're going to move it over. Hit F to zoom in. Okay. So let's do that right there. Now we need to check it from this view as well. And it's kind of hard to see there, but and let's see if we can get a good view on that. Maybe we'll even have to go to this view. Have to zoom in. Now you want your pivot point to be centered on that circle, okay? So let's do it from here. Okay, now I'm assuming that that's this circle here. I'm quite sure of it. So we're gonna move that down. Hit the insert key again, whoops. Right there, and hit the insert key again. Okay, so if you now move this over, that should be in the center, and it looks like it is, so that's fine. Okay, so that's number one. Then we're going to go to the right leg. We're going to do the same. So we're going to hit the insert key. We're going to move that pivot point up. And we're going to move that in. Have to zoom in. Get it centered from this point of view, which is good. Then we're going to go to our circle. And we're going to move that in. And move that down a little bit. All right. So these two are done. Then we're going to go to our neck. From this view, we're going to hit the insert key. Oops. Come on, hit the insert key. There we go. I have to zoom in. We want it to be obviously in the middle there. And then we'll check it from our top view. Hit 4 for wireframe mode. That's our neck, so let's bring that to the center of our neck. So what you're basically doing is you're positioning your pivot point to the absolute center of the area where you're rotating, okay? So we got our left leg, we got our right leg, we got our neck. We're gonna go to our head, okay? From this view, we're gonna hit the insert key. Come on, Control Z, insert key, there we go. Bring that up, I have to zoom in. Now let's say that the middle of the eyes are the center of our head. And let's move that to the middle here. And you can kind of orient that based on the center line of the neck. And then from the top, we have the neck circle down here that can help us to see if we're centered or not. There we go. Then we're going to go to our torso. Again, hit the insert key. Why is that happening every time? There we go. Pull that up. I have to zoom in. And we'll use that main circle there as an orientation point. Okay, so from this view, let's make sure that that is centered based on the center of the neck. Okay, then we're going to go to the arms. The pivot point in the arm should be in the shoulder, obviously. So we're going to hit the insert key. Bring that in, hit F to zoom in. Oops. Come on. There we go. From that point of view, we're going to check it from our top, which is a little bit more tricky, but what we're going to do is, let's see if we hit 5. We can base it on this line here in the arm, okay? So that's good. We're going to go to our right arm, hit the insert key. Come on, insert key. Yeah, there we go. Have to zoom in. Let's move that over. And let's move that to the center of our shoulder, like so. And then from the top view, we're going to set that up based on this center line of the arm. Okay. So now we should have all of that. Okay. So pivot points are set up. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some NURB controls. Okay. Now, first we want to have a main NURB control to move our entire robot. Okay. So we're going to go to Create, NURBS Primitives. We're going to go to Circle, and we're going to hit R, and we're going to scale that out. And just from the top, make sure that it's centered okay. Let's scale that down a bit. That looks about right. Okay, and that will allow us to move our entire robot from one location to the other. Okay. Now, while we're at it, what we're going to do is we are going to select our group and parent it to this control immediately. Okay. So we're going to go to Window, Outliner. We're going to select the child, and the child to this curve is the entire robot. So we're going to select this group. We're going to shift select our control, and we're going to hit P on our keyboard. So now if we take this control and we hit W, we can move our entire robot. Okay. All right. Next control. We want the head to be able to rotate. Okay. So we're going to go to Create. There's Primitives, Circle, We're going to pull that up. We're going to hit R, and we're going to scale that out. That's about the right height. We're going to go in to our robot. We're going to select the head. We're going to shift select that control, and we're going to hit P to parent. So now if we take that control and we hit E, we can move the head. All right. Okay, what's next? The legs. Okay. Now I want the legs to be able to rotate, going forward and backward in a swinging motion, if you will. So again, create NURBS primitives, circle, hit W, pull that up, pull that out, hit E to rotate that to -90. Let's just check the position of that. I'll hit 5 for shaded mode. And I want that to control the hips, so I'm going to scale that up a bit. And I'm just going to move that like so. Just check that. That's all right. Then I'm going to go in and select my right leg. And then I'm going to shift select this control and P to parent. So again, if I take this control, I can now move the leg. Just make sure I have the right control here. All right. Okay. We're going to do the same at the other end. So what we'll do is we'll just take that control, Control D to duplicate, W to move over. That's kind of a no-brainer that happened. We don't want that. We're going to create a new one because we're copying over the parenting data. We don't want that. We're going to hit E. We're going to rotate that to 90 degrees. Let's position that curve from this view here. So we're going to hit R and we're going to scale that guy up. And then we're going to hit W and going to move it until we're very close to our other circle. As far as distance is concerned, that should be about right. Okay. And then we're going to select our left arm, shift select our control, and hit P to parent. So I have controls for the, sorry, that was for the leg. I'm sorry, guys. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. There we go. I'm going to select the left leg, shift select, and hit P. Sorry about that. Okay. So now if we select this and hit E, we can move our leg. Okay. So we have a main control for the entire robot. We have controls for the legs. We have a control for the head rotation. And now we need to have controls for the arms. Okay. So for the arms, we will create a new primitive. And yeah, we'll do another circle. That's fine. Hit W, pull that up, and bring that out. I have to zoom in. E to rotate to 90 degrees. Okay, we're going to check it from our side view. Let's for wireframe mode. And we'll hit W and we'll just move it over like so. Now that's going to be the control for our left arm. So we're going to select our left arm, shift select that little control and hit P to parent. So now if we take that control and hit E, we're going to be able to move the arm, but also move the arm like that. And as you can see, that's not really a movement you want. Now, that's a problem with all these controls. You can add limitations to what kind of movement you want. In this case, we specifically want this movement, okay? And we only want movement in Y, okay? So we're going to hit Control Z to go back. And what we're going to do here is right-click in X and go to Lock Attribute. And we're going to right-click in Z and Lock Attribute. So now you can move like this, but if you want to do this, nothing happens. That's kind of the idea, okay? All right, now let's set a control for the other side. Create NURBS primitives, circle, and W, pull that up. We're just going to pull it out this way first and rotate it so we can kind of match it up size-wise with the other guy at 90 degrees. It should W pull that out. From our side view, let's bring that in, and I believe it was this guy right here. So now we can move it over to this end. Kind of make sure we have roughly the same distance, looks like, yes. We're going to select the right arm. We're going to shift select this guy, and we're going to hit P to parent. So now if we select this and hit E to rotate, you can see again, it's rotating in Y. So we're going to go in here, right click, lock attribute, and in here, right click and lock attribute. So now it can only be rotated like that, okay? We can do the same limitations for the legs. So if we take this control, we only want this to be able to rotate in Y. So right click, lock attribute. We'll do the same here. Just check to be sure. Yep. Lock attribute. Lock attribute. Now for the head, we're not going to limit that because we want to be able to slightly move it up and down like so. Move it like so, okay, just to give it a bit flexibility, okay? All right. So now we should have all controls in place. So if we take this guy, that's not correct. We'll just fix that one. Window outliner. We want our entire robot, which is not that. That's our entire robot. Okay. Control G. Robot, enter. So robot, we're going to shift like this guy, and we're going to hit P. So that should now be fixed. Okay. So if we take our main control down here, we can hit W, and we can move our robot. Okay. If we want to move the left leg, we'll take this guy, we'll hit E, and we'll rotate it. If we take this control, we can rotate that. If we take the arm control, we can rotate that. If we take the other arm control, we can rotate that as well. And if we take the head, we can rotate it like this, and we can also rotate it up and down. Okay. So that's it for our simple parent rig, and in the next video we'll do a simple animation. All right, well, thank you guys for watching, and see you guys in the next video. Bye.